Hey folks, how's it going? RedMaster here, and welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are discussing the metagame once again for Cards and Castles 1 for the second time in a 3-month time span. And I kind of want to bring this up today because obviously we do have CNC2 very close on the horizon. We are just about maybe a month or more so away than the launch of C2 Early Access, which in a way some people are kind of declaring that as the official start for CNC2, even though the full version won't be out for maybe another few months after that. It's still going to be an opportunity where players are playing CNC2 on a much wider scale, and that is very appealing to people. But that does raise some questions on what happens to the existing product, Cards and Castles 1. Now, people have obvious questions. Will the game still be online? Yes, that's not being shut down. Will it be updated? Unfortunately, no. The game engine is really decrepit and the team can't access the back end to make any sort of changes to the game. So unfortunately, that is something that we have to live with. But there are some other questions that people might not might be having, right? Some questions people still have. English. But have not really breached the surface. Things like what happens to the metagame of CNC1? What happens in that environment here? And that's what we're going to try and address today, because I do want to leave the people who are maybe still interested in C1 over C2 some food for thought about how they should proceed in the metagame moving forward and what changes might arise because of obviously the launch of a new game. So let's go ahead and break down my thoughts a little bit. So before we can talk about how the metagame is going to change, I do want to take some time to discuss what I think is going to happen in sort of the immediate launch of Cards and Castles 2, or what is most likely going to happen as a result. And this maybe more relates to the player rather than the metagame, but it does have an impact on said metagame, which is why we're going to go over it first. With CNC2, obviously there is going to be some form of player migration, and what I mean by that is obviously you're going to have people who play the original switching over and maybe putting more time, energy, and effort into CNC2. Now, that could be a result of a lot of things. Either, you will see lower class players try to switch over to CNC2 to find themselves maybe better at that than the original product. Maybe we'll see a larger number of veterans migrate to CNC2, wanting an environment where you're going to be receiving more updates and more changes, a more sort of variety in the metagame. I mean, some people who have been playing this game have been experiencing the same meta and the same decks for, God, what feels like 3 years, 2 to 3 years. So you'll probably see a couple of players migrate to there, which I think is going to be the more likely scenario, the veterans over the lower class players, just again because we've been in this environment for a long period of time that they want that change. Or, I mean, you could see a mix of all players moving over there just because, again, it's a new product, a new game, and that's going to spark some excitement everywhere, and that's really great to see. But this obviously is going to have some impact on the metagame for sure. What will happen depends on which of those factors I just listed will come true. If we find that more lower ranking players are going to shift over into the game, then the ones who are in C1 are going to be more of the hardcore loyal fans to the game, and those are the ones who are going to be very skilled. I don't know how skilled, but that could vary depending on how hardcore and how much effort and energy they put into the game. If we see more veterans move over to CNC2, then there might be a more diverse meta. Not only because of the newer players trying new things, they haven't explored all of their decks or options yet, but their collections too might not be full, like some of the players who are on the topper end of the spectrum here. So there could be some more diversity just based on collection and ideas from the lower ranked players. Or, if there's a mix, then there probably won't be much change in what we see here. You'll probably see some players who are normally at the top still gravitate to that section. Maybe lower ranked players have a chance to break through the ceiling and reach that top spot. But again, all variable here. We don't exactly know how that will or which of those factors will happen. But it's important to note that, because again, this has an impact on the metagame based on what factor we'll see. You know, again, lower players who move over there, you'll see more of a hardcore top-end meta be established here. If there's a lot of higher-end players, top-ranked players that are switching over, then we'll see maybe a more diverse and a more new meta, maybe. But again, variable here based on collections and whatnot. And if there's a mix, obviously, maybe not much has changed, but we'll certainly see a flux there. But again, very important to understanding how I think the meta is going to shape up post CNC2. But enough about player movements and who goes where. You guys maybe want more of an idea of what decks you'll be running into on the ladder. What can you have the potential to face off against, and how does that change post CNC2? And to be honest, I think the type of decks that we'll see aren't really going to change between, now and when the game launches. Again, because the game isn't receiving updates, it's in its sort of final stage right now, which is a good thing. I mean, the meta we have here is certainly a bit more diverse than it was, several years ago. But, that being said, there are still decks that kind of remain to be at the forefront of the game here. What are decks that are defiantly good over others? We certainly still have that in the game, which is, it's fine and it's fair. And I think, honestly, the meta tier list that I did about 3 months ago, which I link below, I think that still represents my thoughts on what decks we'll be seeing and how all these decks, compare off against one another. I think, realistically, not much has changed between the 3 months now. Sure, there's a bit more fluidity to the meta. You'll see some dynamic shift between, from month to month. What's everyone's, flavor of the month type of thing, where, maybe one month you'll see dragons more on the forefront of ladder. Maybe you'll see awaken on the forefront of ladder, no interaction on the forefront of ladder, etc. It changes. It's all variable because there are just a lot of things to play, and people do like experimenting with just different types of decks. And while we might see more top-end players stick with a certain strategy or two, you'll see maybe like Mystic Rats from some specific players, and they'll never change off of Mystic Rats. I do think in a post-CNC2 world, you'll have some people looking to switch up and experiment with just different types of decks, and that's very exciting to me. It might not work all the time, but you'll be glad to see some decks just kind of getting out there, getting a chance to shine in the spotlight with maybe sort of the bigger, scarier meta threats being put away for the time being here. And God, what else do I have to say about the meta that I haven't already said? I mean, this is also sort of a weird video, right? Because to be honest, like I said before, not much has changed in my thoughts. I'm just giving some additional thoughts here as to what could happen at the end of the day. And I mean, realistically, it's very hard for me to put more thoughts into the meta, because what hasn't been said that already hasn't been, or what has been. English. Regardless, yeah, there isn't sort of much else to add to it. Will there be shifts? Yeah, I could possibly think so. I mean, sure, we really aren't seeing a whole lot of movement right now, but I think that's the way it's going to be for a while now, if maybe for the rest of this game's lifestyle. Because, like I said, the game isn't receiving updates, so what can you change that can't be changed here? I'd be curious if there are new top-end strategies that emerge because of, maybe some players experimenting and other players, realizing. Like, I think there's still room for potential, like, inspirations and, breakthroughs and all that good stuff. But I think right now the game is in a good place and probably will stay like this for quite a while. And obviously, like I said, I don't think my thoughts changed from 3 months ago in terms of what decks are at the top of the ladder, what decks aren't at the top of the ladder, what are rogue, what is tier 1, tier 2, etc. I just I don't think much changes. And I mean, I'd love for people to kind of pipe up in the comment section if they feel differently about that. If they notice that certain decks are maybe taking more precedence over others in comparison to what I said 3 months ago in that tier list. I'd be very curious if that is the case here. But I did want to kind of put my thought out there that I do think there will still be some slight fluctuations in our metagame moving forward post CNC2. And I mean, speaking of meta, now, what's it going to look like in CNC2? I have no idea. But I will also add that I'm just very excited for that opportunity again to see a more dynamic meta in motion. It's been quite a while, and I would love to see some new stuff break through here. We'll be talking about how, different C2 decks are on the top of the ladder. That's very exciting to me. But again, I think that's going to take away from what this video was meant to do here. But I mean, yeah, those are just sort of my quick thoughts that I wanted to share with you. Quick video today. I know, I don't even think I breached 10 minutes on this. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to review the footage back. But it was just sort of a idea that I wanted to put out there into the world that, if you're worried about what's going to happen in CNC1, if you prefer this game over the other, if you try both, like CNC1 more, that's completely fine. I don't think the meta will really shift any larger than I think it has in the past 2 years. I still think that people are going to be playing in the C1 ladder because it's their, bread and butter. They've really enjoyed the atmosphere that the game brings to them, etc. Albeit it always is frustrating to receive, Big Global Burn or Mystic Rats, but, I still think some people really do enjoy it, and I did want to kind of give those people something to digest quickly. Just kind of also get their thoughts on it, too. Like, if you plan on playing C1 more than C2, let me know if you think there's going to be any sort of big meta swings, if you're excited to see if there's any new players that break through, if you are going to be a player who breaks through that ceiling and finally gets into the top 100, let me know. I'd be very curious to hear if that's the case. But overall, those are my quick thoughts here. Like I said, if you want to see a more full breakdown of where I think certain decks lie, then I'll definitely link the tier list video that I did about 3 months ago, where, like I said, my thoughts have not changed on that topic. So, yeah, I think that is going to be a place where I leave it off for today. So, let's go ahead and give this video a proper closure. Right, and with that being said, that's going to be it for me. If you guys haven't done so already, be sure to leave your comments down below, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, as well as being sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Especially you can show your support to us after all and help us grow the channel. Again, very close to 1K, just under 70 subs away, so if we can hit that, that'd be absolutely incredible. And I hope you guys are excited again for CT. I'm going to be saying this for like a while now. I hope you guys are excited for CNC2 because I certainly am. I'm going to try and have more videos regarding CNC2 up on the channel. Whether or not it happens before or at launch is still to be determined. But I do hope you guys are excited because some new CNC2 content coming down the line here very soon. And I hope you guys are prepared for it. But with that being said, that is going to be it for me for now. So, until next time, stay gaming.